Hi guys, welcome to another Thursday night live stream with yours truly, Alan Scouser. Hope you've all had a good week, and if you've been Blu-ray or DVD hunting, I hope you've managed to pick up some bargains. Right, okay, so you all probably know what the theme's going to be. As always, let's talk horror. Yeah, so talk about horror movies, horror actors, horror novels, anything at all relating to the wonderful world of horror. So it's great to be back again, for another live stream on Thursday night. Always love chatting to you guys, as I say, about my number one favourite genre, horror. As regards what I've been watching this week, guys, not really all that much, really. I've got a couple of pickups there. What I've ordered and what I picked up while I was out shopping. So I'm going to be doing a pickups video soon, so watch out for that one. I watched The Curse of Rosalie at the weekend. It was okay. The ending was a bit hokey. Yeah, well, I've done a review of that, so some of you most probably seen that. And I watched a couple of years ago, and I fell asleep about halfway through it. To be honest, I didn't think it was as good as the original Evil Dead, the one with Bruce Campbell in. Yeah, so I'll most probably be flogging that on eBay. Yeah. Okay, then, guys. Without further ado, we'll just go into the comments and see what we've got in tonight. We've got Leo. Is that Leo Prescott 69? Hey, Alan. You okay, Leo? Leo Prescott, first one here, I see. Woohoo. Stuart George, can't make the live, but I'll catch it the weekend. Oh, guys, I should say, if through the night, I'm going to be on till about 10 o'clock. I might go a bit silent for a couple of seconds. That is because any unwanted trolls that happen to stray into the room. I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to read the comments out. I'm just going to blank them. Yeah. So you have to you have to pardon me if I go a bit silent and that for a couple of seconds and that. It's just I'm not giving them any airtime on especially if you come out sort of like bad language and that or just bad things and that generally. So they're a bloody nuisance, those trolls really are. But I really appreciate all the work you moderators are doing to try to stem the tide in that, really appreciating that. And as one of my advisors has told me, to basically just blank them, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. All right then, guys. So let's fingers crossed we don't get too many tonight. So they're a damn useless. They really are. Okay, right. On with the comments. Kevin William Wardle. Hi, Alan and everyone. You okay, Kev? Thanks for turning up again. Always nice to see you. Hope you've had a good week and you've watched some good movies. Brian's here. Brian Gilson. Hi, Alan and everyone. You okay, Brian? Thanks for turning up. Always good to see you. Jeff Joffy's here. Hello, Alan and all. You okay, Jeff? Thanks for turning up, mate. Nice to see you. Right. Gina's here. Hi, Alan and everyone. You okay, Gina? Thanks for stopping by. Always nice to see you. Am I dead yet? Hey, Alan and everyone. You okay? Thanks for turning up. Really appreciate you coming along tonight. Jeff is asking me, Alan, what did you think of Count Dracula 1970 starring Christopher Lee? Good question. I've got that in my collection. I never knew it existed until today. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it bears some strong similarities to Stoker's original novel. I think it was Jess Franco that directed that. I did have the DVD of that, but I upgraded a couple of years ago to the Blu-ray. But it's not a bad movie. Yeah. Christopher Lee starts out old, as the character did in the original Stoker, and the more he gorges on the blood, the more younger he becomes. Yeah. So he did a good job, Christopher Lee, and he was a bit of a shapeshifter in this one as well. It's a while since I watched it, but what I can remember, he turns into this wolf. It's something I don't recall him doing in any of the Hammer Dracula movies, although he did scale down the walls of his castle like a human lizard in the Scars of Dracula. But it's not a bad movie. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as the Hammer films, but it's not bad. And that's why I kept it in my collection. That's Christopher Lee, isn't it? Playing Dracula. What more could you ask for? Sammy's here. Sammy Adams, evening, Alan, everyone. You okay, Sammy? Thanks for stopping by. Nice to see you. Hope you've had a good week. Leo Prescott. Hey, Alan, happy Thursday. You okay, Leo? Richard Brown, Dracula 1970 by Jess Franco. Christopher Lee with a moustache. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He had a big, he had like a handlebar moustache, didn't he? Yeah. As my memory serves me correctly, Dracula in the original novel, Bram Stoker's had a moustache. Yeah, he started off like a very old man, and the more he gorged on the blood, as I say, the younger he became. Yeah. Great description by Stoker. Well, sort of like through Jonathan Harker's eyes, when he describes Dracula when he's lying in the coffin. I don't remember every single word, but he opens. I think he opens the coffin, Jonathan Harker, and he said he sees the fiend lying there like a bloated leech. His hair like sort of like now iron grey instead of jet white, and it trickles of blood running down the corners of his mouth. Oh yeah, it's great the way Stoker had the flair for coming up with some good, strong, descriptive passages when it came to horror. Yeah, oh yeah, Dracula is one of my all-time favourite horror novels. The classic by Bram Stoker. Tony York is saying, evening, Alan. You okay, To? And everyone, any thoughts on the news that Network appeared to have seen? Oh, yeah, I was very sad to hear that. Yeah, shocking news it was. Yeah, Network ceased trading. I think there were rumours they'd signed a deal with Hammer last year. Yeah, I believe they did. Yeah, oh yeah, it was very, very sad to hear that, because I've got quite a few Network videos and Blu-rays in my collection, especially the old British comedies. The movie spin-offs. The likes of Man About the House, Please Sir, Bless This House, and oh yeah, very, very. It was a shock, because I didn't even think they were in trouble financially, Yeah. Oh, let's hope they come back in some form, But yeah, it was very, very saddened to hear that about Network. Fantastic company, going to miss them. Yeah, I think I blame a lot of it on the streaming. A lot of them are streaming now, aren't they? Saving money and that, for convenience's sake and that. But I hope it implodes on itself. I've said this before, guys. I hope it implodes on itself eventually. This streaming, it's having a very bad impact on us collectors and that. But having said that, I don't think physical media will ever die out completely, because there's a big market for it. And while people are going to be buying these huge bumper sets and that, from the likes of Screen Factory, Arrow, boutique labels like that, I think there'll always be a place for physical media, yeah, so fingers crossed, it does stay with us. But yeah, very, very sad news about Network. Couldn't believe it when I heard it. Jeff saying to Richard Brown, not watched it yet, but it looks good, right? Kevin saying, so sad to see that they might have Network. Yeah, it is, yeah. It was a great shock, yeah, because they're a fantastic company, as I said before, Leo Prescott 69 is in. Have you seen the news today? Sewage is being poured into the ocean, and when I looked at my river, all I could see was sewage. No, I didn't see that. No. Jeff saying, anyone know what film the drawing in my avatar is from? It's a favorite film of mine. Not too sure. Walk on, always believe. Watch it, Alan. I hope you're well. I'm not too bad, thanks. Hope you are too. Thanks for stopping by. Kevin saying Franco's Dracula is good, if a bit slow in places. It's still got some good scenes. Yeah, it has got some pretty good scenes in that. It's very atmospheric, and in some parts it's very, very reminiscent of Stoker's original novel, and Christopher Lee, of course, is really on the money in it, as he always is in all his Dracula movies, I've got a good documentary, Christopher Lee, called In Search of Dracula. I think he made it in 1974, where he goes to Transylvania and he really digs into the legend and superstitions of that part of the world, Romania, Transylvania, where the original Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, when he was alive, and I think it was at the 16th or 15th and 16th century. Yeah, he impaled hundreds of people, didn't he? Yeah, and he sat there having a meal, watching them on the stakes and that. Oh, he's a right fiend, he was. Yeah, it's very, very good. You know, if you want to have a look, guys, on Amazon or anywhere like that, eBay, I think you'll be able to get a copy. In Search of Dracula, it's called, hosted by the late great Christopher Lee. Yeah, one of the best horror documentaries in my collection, actually. Gina's saying, to Kevin William Wardle, I'm sorry to hear about that. Network released some great titles. Indeed, they did, Gina. Yeah, they're going to leave a big gap, aren't they, in the boutique label field? You know, very, very sad news. Yeah, yeah. Some of the, well, all the transfers I've got from Network have been absolutely pristine. You know, very, very pleased with them. And as I say, always saddens me when I hear of another label, going under. You know, it's just like some of these department stores going under. You know, the likes of Debenhams and Woolworths and TJ Users and that. You know, it annoys me. To think they've been basically neglected and that to sort of like fall by the wayside. And I just hope one day that those stores will resurface in some form. Like, it's good to see HMV opening more stores as well, isn't it? But I don't like. I have to say, I don't like the way some of the stores have reduced the physical media, and I also the logo as well. I preferred the big pink logo, what they had for years. I don't like this new logo. It doesn't stand out, but I mean, if it does, if they do well in that, we'll go along with it, like, of course, and that anything to keep them afloat. But yeah, I did prefer the old logo, the big pink, bright, vibrant letters. You never know, they might bring it back, but I'm not really one for change, and now some people love change, and like they say it's for the better. I only like change if it's really good, if it's good change. I don't like any kind of change. You get used to one thing and then you change it and that, and that applies to anything really, anything at all. If you're enjoying something, what you've enjoyed for years and years and years, and you get somebody coming along like somebody taking over in an organization, and like a new broom sweeps clean, that sort of thing. I just don't like that. But of course, if it's good, if it's a good change, I'm all for it. Yeah, but never been a fan of change generally. Am I in for movies with Alexandra Wayne? Hiya, Alan. Just thought I'd say, just before I watch Wishmaster 2, what do you think of the Wishmaster movies? Do you know, it's years since I saw them, and I think I've only seen about 2 of them, because there's 4, isn't there? I want to get that Blu-ray set, the Wishmaster collection, but from what I can remember, the few I saw, they were very good. Yeah, so I might treat myself a couple of weeks' time. I might treat myself to that 4-movie box set. The Wishmaster collection. I know Vestron Video have released Wishmaster on its own, but I'm not sure if Vestron's released that 4-movie set. Yeah, if any of you guys could enlighten me on that, I'd be very, very grateful. Kevin's saying to Gina, yeah, sad. I hope Indicator pick up some of their titles. Well, you never know. Yeah, Indicator, another good label, aren't they? I've got quite a few Indicator titles there in my collection. Yeah, so fingers crossed, eh? Another movie I watched this week, guys. It's not really a horror movie. It's Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, Albert Finney. It's one of those kitchen sink angry young men dramas, from the early 60s. Yeah, always enjoy that movie. Always have a blast when I watch that Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. Yeah, I've got quite a few kitchen sink dramas, guys. I've got like The Taste of Honey, Up the Junction with Susie Kendall. I've got quite a few. Yeah, and of course what's the name? Ken Loach, Daniel Craig. Yeah, they're very good. I love me kitchen sink dramas. Jeff Joffe, I save a lot of money watching streams. I suppose. Yeah, I watch a couple myself on that, but I'm not a fanatic on it. What I normally do, say a horror movie comes out, and if I don't want to venture splashing out, $14.99 for the Blu-ray or whatever, I'll watch it on Amazon Prime, just to see if I like it. And if I like it, I'll add it to my collection. Yeah, but I suppose it's got its place, but I'm more of a physical media collector, it's got its place streaming. If they could sort of like coexist side by side, that would be cool. One wouldn't impact on the other, basically. They can exist exist side by side and that in harmony. And if people want to have download the odd movie to watch, that's fine. The odd movie to rent. And on the flip side, people want to buy movies and add them to collection. So that'd be good if you just basically just run alongside each other. I don't like to see any decline now, or any signs of decline in physical media collecting. Walk on, always believe. It says, I had a few deliveries today. Yeah, I had a couple myself today from Amazon, four in total. Snowtown Blu-ray, Exterminator 2 Blu-ray, Deathstalker 1 2 Blu-ray, Miss DVD. I also popped into the charity shop and picked a few DVDs and Blu-rays. Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, I hope you enjoyed them. Yeah, I love getting loads of movies through the post. It's I get a great buzz out of it. The door flap going and another Amazon parcel. Coming through the door. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a great order. And Amazon Prime, I just love the way they deliver the next day. Among the things I ordered, not on the non-horror side, I ordered I'm very interested in the story of Colditz, the German prisoner of war camp, the big castle in the 1940s, and that he made a TV series of that in the early 70s. I watched it avidly. So I'm getting back into me Colditz and that, because I ordered 2 Colditz books, one by Pat Reed, who was actually a prisoner in Colditz, and I ordered the Colditz story with starring John Mills on Blu-ray. So I'm looking forward to revisiting that. I haven't seen that movie in years and that. But Colditz is one of my favourite World War II movies, fascinating. And I even had the big box game as well. My mum bought the big box game for me in 1973 by Parker Brothers. So if any of you guys ever had that, the big blue box and that, Escape from Colditz, and I played it avidly. But the only thing about that, it all depended on luck. Throw the dice, I'm more of a strategic person. And I tell you, the game I've got my eye on, guys, getting back to the subject of horror. Have any of you guys seen that board game called Horrified? You type in Horrified on YouTube and you get it. And you basically it's got all the Universal monsters in it. Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein and his bride. And what you've got to do, you take a hero. They've got so many heroes. And what you do, you take on the role of the hero and you've got to travel around the village and towns, hunting the monsters down. And, you've got to do it by a certain time. If you don't do it by a certain time, the monsters have won. But check it out, Horrified. Yeah, it looks pretty good, yeah. And they brought a sequel out as well, dealing with the urban legend monsters, like the Yeti and that. Yeah, so I'm very, very tempted to get it, yeah. So if you're interested, if you like a horror board games, type in Horrified. I think you might like it, what you'll see. I certainly did. Richard Brown Asylum. You're talking about the 1972 one with Robert Powell in, one of my all-time favourite movies, that, especially the one with Britt Eklund in, Lucy Comes to Stay, which has an imaginary friend. I love that. I spoke about that one many times. I love that one. Brian's saying to Jeff Joffy, is your avatar from Rasputin? That was a good film, Rasputin, the Mad Monk, starring the late great Christopher Lee. Walk on, always believe. Glad to hear, and I'm okay, thanks. Good. Jeff, the drawing is from Asylum. Robert Powell walking up the stairs, looking at the drawings on the wall. Oh, right, I remember that, yeah. All the creepy drawings and that, yeah. Oh, yeah, that creeped me out, that when I was a kid, when I first watched that one, yeah. Oh, it's a great one, Asylum. One of the best, the best British horror anthologies ever made, in my opinion. So, right, Dr. Impossible is saying Network had The Baron lined up for release, another favourite of mine from the 60s, starring Steve Forrest. I'm very doubtful that ITV Global will release this for Blu-ray. I've heard that it could be heading for streaming evening. You okay, Doctor? Nice to see you, as always. Yeah, I used to love The Baron. It was a big staple of my, growing up in the 60s. Used to watch it on my old black and white telly. And Sue Lloyd was his female co-star, wasn't she? Sue Lloyd, yeah. Oh, yeah, I used to love The Baron. I used to love the theme music as well. Didn't those 1960s shows, guys, have fantastic theme music? Man in the Suitcase, The Avengers, Randall Hawkett, Deceased, Joe 90. Didn't you have fantastic theme tunes? Yeah. Am I dead yet? Have you been to that place in England? I think Whitby, where Bram Stoker's supposed to have written some of his Dracula books. No, I've never been to Whitby. I'd like to go. I believe they have a Dracula festival there. I'm not sure if it's every year or every 2 years, but I do know they have a big Dracula festival in Whitby. Yeah, that's where Dracula landed, wasn't it, in the book? Yeah, to spread, trying to spread his evil, through Britain. Brian Hall, hello, Alan. How's you, mate? I'm not too bad, thanks. But I hope you're well too. Edward's here. Evening, Alan. You okay, Edward? Thanks for stopping by. Always nice to see you. Hope you're well. I'm not too bad, thanks, Ed. What's your favorite network? What's your favorite network release you have in your collection? I haven't really got a special favourites. I like this. I might as well say I like them all. Man About the House, Bless This House, the one with Joan Collins in I Don't Want to Be Born, The Likely Lads, yeah, and I've got others as well. But yeah, I love them all, especially the British comedy spin-offs, yeah. Very sad about Network, I was really really upset to hear they were going under. Geek Legion of Doom is here. You okay, Leo? Thanks for stopping by, mate. A Dracula movie you may enjoy is Dark Prince, the true story about Dracula. I haven't seen that one. Sounds interesting. It's about the actual Vlad the Impaler. Oh, right. It's a TV movie, but it's a good historical movie. Stars Rudolph Martin. Oh, let's watch out for that. Thanks very much, Leo, for referring me to that. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, anything to do with Dracula, and I'm right there. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Dr. Impossible saying, plus Network was suffering with sales. I've noticed more recent releases going for very little in the sales, right? So Network was losing money. Yeah, it's a damn shame, as I say. What's happened to Network, and I just don't know more companies don't go under, because it doesn't look very good. If these companies are going to start losing money and going under, going into liquidation, it's not going to bode well. It's not going to bode well for us physical media collectors, is it? Yeah. So fingers crossed, it doesn't happen to any other company. Jeff Joffrey says, it's been hot and sunny all over the country. You're telling me it has. I haven't been able to sleep much of a night. I think I got about 2 hours sleep last night. It was that hot. And at the fan right up to my face, I think I'm going to have to have the fan surgically removed from my face if this carries on. Yeah. Hot and sunny all over the country. I know, Jeff. Yeah. Except in the northeast, it was just 12 degrees here. Cloudy, people wearing coats. And do you know what? There was a bloody goon on the radio there today. They had the radio on this morning and that, and he said, what was it he said? He said, it's not, can you do something about the breeze? He wanted it even hotter than it is. Oh, that's just stupid. I mean, how bloody hot does he want it? Can you do something about the breeze? Meaning he was cold. That's just pathetic, that, Oh, yeah, I can't stand the heat. I won't go on too much about it, guys, because, how much once you get me on that, you can't shut me up, So I'll try and, as minimal as I can mention the weather. But, yeah, these radio, once they get on the radio and the presenters themselves, they annoy me the way they rave on and on about it. I don't like it. I just don't like it at all. So many things about it. I might actually do a video, the 10 things I hate about hot weather. So watch this space. Yeah. Thank God for cold water out of the fridge. Yeah, I hate the hot weather. Always love the autumn and winter, the nip in the air and that, but the way it's going, with this global warm, and even the winters are going mild, aren't they? There's not as cold as they used to be. Very, very worrying, that global warming. Brian says, Network released some good Hammer films on Blu-ray. Hope they come back one day. Yeah, they done Countess Dracula, didn't they? It wasn't that a Network release. I haven't got that one in my collection. Ingrid Piss. A Mind for Movies for Alexandra Wayne. Yup, that's the one. I've got the Vestron collection. Yeah, I'll have to get that one. I wanted that one for ages, that one. With the four Wishmaster movies in. So, yeah, I'll get that one. Brian Hall says, what's your thoughts about the new Salem's Lot not getting released? They've been putting it back, haven't they? I don't know why. I'm dying to see the trailer for that. I really am. I want to sort of see how it compares to the 1979 classic that starred David Soul and James Mason. Yeah, I'm dying to see the trailer for this new Salem's Lot. I just hope we don't make a mess of it. You know, like that one with, was it Rob Lowe? It was around about 2006. They made it, and Rutger Hauer. They made a right bloody dog's breakfast of that. Oh, it was terrible, that one. Awful. And even worse was Return to Salem's Lot. Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah, the number one for me is the 1979 one with David Soul. And, you know, I know I speak for thousands of horror fans when I say that's the best version of King's, you know, novel, Salem's Lot. Absolutely love it. The vampire, always one scary bugger, isn't he? You know, Barlow, you know, they sort of like fashioned him like more like the Nosferatu that was in the old Max Schreck, didn't he? Rather than the like Christopher Lee type of character as he's like in the novel. He's more like a kind of a human in the novel, but in the TV play, he's more like a monster, you know, a Nosferatu, like, you know, the baldy head and that. Yeah, ooh, yeah, real chilling vampire he is. Wouldn't like to meet him on a dark night. Right, Jeff's saying someone who's seen a preview says Salem's Lot is good. Oh, right. So I'm baffled what's holding us up. I'm baffled as well, Jeff. Yeah, I don't know what the problem is with that. I really don't, you know. We just have to wait, you know, keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully it'll be out soon and that. Yes, I can't wait to see the trailers for that. Edward's asking me, what's your thoughts on the Bats Vincent Price? I like it. I've got it in my collection. Yeah, it's a good little thriller. Yeah, it's in black and white. But oh yeah, I love the Bats. Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, but then I'm a huge fan of Vincent Price. You know, he's one of my all-time favorite horror actors. Yeah, but oh yeah, I like the Bats. It's a great one. That. Kevin's saying, yes, I had the coldest game in the early 70s. Yeah, I had it. My mum bought it for me at the Christmas of 1973, and I could not stop playing it. I think it was the game, you know, Kevin, that I played most out of all the board games. I was a real board games junkie when I was a young boy. You know, my dad bought me a great game as well called, I don't know if you guys are old enough, those of it in the room, old enough to remember a game called The Fastest Gun. We had like two, basically, spoke for itself, really, set in a western town and that, and you had two gunfighters and that. And I think, my memory serves me correctly, you'd have to turn this handle, and if you turn the handle, the hole would appear under the cowboy, and the cowboy who's, you know, the hole appeared under the space. He lost the gunfights. Yeah, very original game that. The Fastest Gun. I had tell you one of the favourites of mine, board game wise, was Take the Brain. Yeah, that's very similar to chess, and I was a huge fan of the big 50 game compendiums. Do you remember them? I think they're still going, actually. Yeah, you get about 50 games in a big box, blow football, snakes and ladders, Ludo. Oh God, yeah. Once I opened them, oh, you couldn't get me away from them. Oh yeah, real board game junkie. Yeah. Oh, love me board games. Walk On Always Believe is saying, I watched Fright the other day for the first time with the gorgeous Susan George. My thoughts exactly. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the nut job who plays as Honor Blackman's husband was fantastic. Yeah, he was. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a good one, that Fright. Yeah, it stars a very young Dennis Waterman. Yeah, I've got that. I've got the Blu-ray of that in my collection. Love Susan George. Ian Bannon, that's it. Yeah, Ian Bannon. Yeah, that's his name. Kevin's saying, has anyone seen Rasputin with Tom Baker? Close only to Lee. I didn't even know Tom Baker had done a Rasputin. That's news to me, that. I'll have to, what year did he make that? I've seen the Christopher Lee one loads of times, but I didn't know Tom Baker had took him off. I love Tom Baker in The Vault of Horror, where he plays the painter and he resorts to voodoo, doesn't he, to get his revenge on the critics and that. Yeah. Oh God, he gives some brutal deaths, doesn't he? Yeah. I love the part where he goes to the tribesmen, and he said, you know, he expresses a sort of like desire to exact revenge, and the tribesman, he's got this big boiling, big pot with boiling water, and he says to Tom Baker, "You no need no doll, you artist." He just puts his hands in the boiling hot water, and the minute he does that, he's got the power then to paint images of people he likes, and he'll do something. He'll do something damaging, like it's sort of like he'll draw a knife across their eyes, or he'll do something else than that. And whatever he does happens to them in real life. He might cut their hands. It happens to him. Happens to them in real life. It's a great one. That one of Tom Baker's finest roles. That in Vault of Horror. I used to like him playing Doctor Who as well. He's a great actor, Tom Baker. A Mind for Movies with Alexandra Wayne. Sky, do you give the option to buy the physical Blu-ray version of some of their stream films? So it does coexist in the same way, but physical will always be king. Physical will always be king, yeah. And long live physical media, yeah. It's the aesthetics, the whole package, really. Not just watching the movie, the aesthetics of the cover. It's like when you used to buy the LPs and that, in the 70s and 80s. I love the aesthetics of an item. I love the way it's packaged. I like the special features. I'm into all the special features, and the slip covers, of course. But yeah. As I say, it'll never. I don't think physical media it'll never go away. I don't think it'll ever go away. Dr. Impossible says, I had to watch the Dan Curtis horror thriller anthology production Trilogy of Terror with Karen Black. Good one. I've got the two of them. Playing 3 separate roles. Amelia was the best of the bunch, though atmospheric and clever. I love this, the Zulu warrior doll in that comes to life. And he's in the other one as well, Trilogy of Terror 2. Oh yeah, he's a ferocious little blighter, isn't he? Yeah. And at the part at the end where Karen Black becomes possessed, she's got like this grotesque countenance, hasn't she? Yeah. Oh yeah, I love that. I love both of them really, but the first one's got the slight edge and that, Walk On Always Believes says, while watching Fright, seeing George Cole, Dennis Waterman felt odd at first because I'm used to them in Minder as Arthur and Terry. Yeah, I used to love Minder. Also, Dennis Waterman, lucky sod, kissing Susan George and Susie Quattro. Yeah, made many a man green with envy. Yeah, good old Dennis Waterman. Yeah, he was good in the Sweeney as well, wasn't he? When he played Inspector George Carter. Yeah, that's where the first saw Dennis Waterman in 1975 when it's in the Sweeney. Yeah, great actor. And the scrapes he got into as Terry McCann in Minder, he always used to say to Arthur, no more, I'm not doing any more jobs for you. And what does he do in the next series? He does another job for him. Yeah, I used to love Minder and the Sweeney. Right, Gina is saying, my favourite network release is Catweasel. That was another staple of my younger days, and that moving on a bit further into the early 70s. Catweasel. I used to watch that every Sunday tea time. I was absolutely fascinated with the character. Jeffrey Bailden, and he had a frog, didn't he? Touchwood. Yeah, I used to be in stitches at that. He come from the was it the 14th or 15th century into modern day Britain. Yeah. Oh yeah, I used to love Catweasel. I haven't seen it for years. Jeffrey Bailden, he was a great actor. He's appeared in a couple of horror movies as well. Jeffrey Bailden, yeah. I think he was in that one in Asylum when he played the maniac in Asylum, the Robert Powell one. And then he was in that one, The House that Dripped Blood, but he sold John Pertwee the cloak, the vampire cloak. Oh, he's a good actor, Jeffrey Bailden, yeah. Kevin William Wardle says, I think Network did a good release of The Dark Eyes of London. Yeah, Bela Lugosi, yeah. Yeah, as I say, very sad, to hear of their demise. Richard Brown, my favourite Network Return of the Saints or Beasts. I've got Beasts, yeah. It's a great one, that. The little horror mini-series from 1976, yeah. Oh, yeah, love that. My favourite one is During Barty's Party. And I like the other one as well, The Ghost in the Supermarket, The Poltergeist, where it's knocking all the items off the shelves and that. That's a great one, that. Haunted Supermarkets, yeah. Nigel Neal wrote the stories, didn't he? Yeah, love Beasts, yeah. Yeah, great little, that During Barty's Party. Anthony Bates in that. Yeah, and he plays a middle-aged man, and he's in his house with his wife, and he hears on the radio there's a plague of rats trying to sort of take over the country. Yeah, I won't say too much about it in case you haven't seen it, but check it out, Beast. It's a great little series. Yeah, it's first shown in the winter of 1976. It was made up when Network released it on DVD. Jeff's saying, imaginary friend in asylum brought me to tears of fright when Charlotte Rampling looks in the mirror and sees Britt Eklund. Oh, yeah, that's chilling, that, isn't it? Yeah. I was maybe thinking the Britt character was real, but Charlotte was mad. I know, it's creepy, that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, oh, God, it is creepy, that one, yeah. I've got the story as well in Robert Bloch's books of short stories. I've got that. Yeah. When Lucy came to stay, it's a great one, yeah. They're very well done, those Amicus horror movies, weren't they, guys? You know, they're very well done, you know, very twisty. And, you know, they didn't have to be wholly reliant on jump scares, you know, to frighten people, you know, scare people witless, you know. My favourite Amicus movie, I think I've said this before, my favourite Amicus horror anthology is the 1972 Tales from the Crypt. Ralph Richardson played the Crypt Keeper, and a host of British, you know, top British actors, Joan Collins, Ian Hendry, you know, oh yeah, fantastic, Peter Cushing. Yeah, I love Tales from the Crypt. I watch that anytime. Kevin's saying, yes, Jeff, cold in the north today. We could do with getting a bit cooler on Merseyside. Jeff saying, freezing, Kev. Kev's saying it was like winter, Jeff. That'll do me. I wouldn't complain about that. Jeff, I know, Kev. Kevin's saying Network released Hands of the Ripper and Twins of Evil too, I think. Yeah. I've got the American version of Twins of Evil and Hands of the Ripper. I do believe actually it is the Network release I've got of Hands of the Ripper. I've got that many films, you see. I'm trying to sort them all out with me. You know, I've got some shelving in US case put in, and I'm going to sort all my movies out, and then once I put them all on the new shelf, I'll do a video showing me my horror movie collections. I know quite a few of you guys want to see that, so yeah, I hope to do that in a couple of weeks' time. Right, Am I Dead Yet says, what do you think of Near Dark 1987? Years since I saw it. Yeah, usually gets regarded as an underrated vampire film. I think I've only seen it once. I think I rented it. I think I rented it from Blockbuster. I don't remember too much about that one. Is that the one with Sam Neill in? Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Years since I saw that one. Kevin's saying, I love The Bat. Yeah, it's a great one. One of Vincent Price's greatest movies. There's a good special edition, Blue House. I've got it. Yeah, I've got that one with the little booklet as well. Yeah. Bought that. Simon, film fan. Evening, Alan. You okay, Simon? Thanks for stopping by, mate. Are you worried for the future of physical media after Network folding? Yeah, I was just saying before, very, very, very alarming news, and that, you know, to hear of another boutique label going under, you know, and I just hope, fingers crossed, that it doesn't have a, you know, a significant impact, you know, as to the future of physical media. It makes me wonder if other boutique labels are strolling. I know. Yes, same here. Yeah. I hope not. I just hope not, you know, because there's a big market. There's still a big market for physical discs, you know, and not everybody likes streaming, you know. So, yeah, so fingers crossed, you know, it does stay. Like, I think it will. You know, I think there'll always be a market for it. It just won't be so widely available. You know, I mean, Tesco's have stopped selling them, haven't they? And I believe one or two other stores are toying with the idea, you know, even in America, some of it's depressing when you see the YouTubers going in and saying, look at this, all the empty shelves, you know, where's all the physical media gone, you know. But yeah, I think it'll stay. Well, I hope it'll stay, you know. Just have to weather the storm, I suppose. Dr. Impossible saying, I was hoping that Studio Canal was going to release Near Dark on ultra high definition, but as usual, it's been put on the back burner, right? As I say, since I saw that one. Kevin's saying, I can remember having a Witch's House game in the 70s. Loved that. I had is that the Haunted House movie? Is that the Haunted House game where you drop the whammy ball down the chimney and there was I think there was 3 or 4 witches, wasn't there? Is that the one you mean, Kev? I played that avidly, yeah. Haunted House, yeah. It was sort of like I think it was 4 rooms, and in the last room you had to go up the stairs to clear. And if you sort of like ascended the stairs successfully without any harm, you'd win the game. I used to love that. Many times I was halfway there, and the whammy ball would come down a chimney and knock me bloody flying. So that might be the one you mean, Haunted House. I had another horror board game as well called Ghost Train. That wasn't too bad. Yeah, sometimes like when you're playing that, you get like a cardboard giant spider, and if somebody drew the appropriate card, that would activate the spider, and the spider would come down and it blocked the entrance. That was quite a good game, Ghost Train. But I have got my eye on that Horrified. It looks really good. Yeah, all the Universal monsters. Right. The lizard monkey says Tom Baker was Rasputin and Nicholas and Alexandra. Right. I haven't seen that. No, I'm not really a great fan of period pieces. They've got to be very, very good. You know, the only real period pieces I like are the Dracula movies and the Frankenstein movies. Other than that, I'm not a great fan of, movies like The Three Musketeers and that, and Kidnapped and movies like that. You know, I'm not really great. The ones where Errol Flynn made, the swashbucklers. Oh, no, don't. I'm not into them at all. Richard Brown, remember the Frankenstein board game? I didn't have that. I didn't even know there was a Frankenstein board game. There was a Frankenstein, I think it's a Frankenstein figure, wasn't a model figure? Right, Kevin's saying, about 1971, Alan. It's a film called Nicholas and Alexandra. I think he looked very good and much like Christopher Lee. All right. Jeff says, Vault of Horror, how do you want your blood clots? Spits out soup. I know, it's good Vault of Horror. I love that. Always have a blast when I watch that movie, yeah. Real creepy, some of those stories. Right, the Lizard Monkey says, is there a movie so horrific that you had to switch it off, Alan? Oh, now you're asking me. Is there a movie so horrific that you had to switch it off, Alan? Well, when I was very young, I've said this before, I was scared of Christopher Lee when he played Dracula. I didn't like the part where the blood went in his eyes and his fangs sprouted, but of course I'm used to him now, growing up in that, you know. I'm trying to think, movies I switched off. There was some pretty scenes I had to, pretty sort of like needle knuckle scenes I had to look away from. The alien scene, for instance, the chest burster, still can't watch that without turning my head away. The theatre of blood scene, the poodle pie, where he gets Robert Morley and he rams the pie. He makes a pie of his two dogs, and they hold them down. Vincent Price's accomplices hold them down, and Vincent Price is playing this crazy chef, and he really hammered up like he always does in his horror movies. And he gets the dogs the pie, and he pushes it down Robert Morley's throat, and he chokes to death. That's one of the most grossest scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. That. But yeah, any kind of violence like that, have I ever switched a horror movie off? I've watched that many. I've switched many a horror movie off because I've been bloody bored senseless with it. I've reached for the off switch. I'm not watching any more of this bloody crap, and I've switched it off. Yeah, but movies that scared me that I've switched off, I don't think so. But I have looked away a few times. I haven't hid behind the couch or anything like that. But I've looked away, so I can't watch that. But yeah. Dr. Impossible says, outside of Bram Stoker, Alan, what is the most consistent horror fiction you've seen adapted from a source book for either TV or film? I'd say Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Yeah, there's been so many variations of that, hasn't there? The Karloff one, the one with the Peter Cushing one, the Hammer films, and the one with Leonard Weissing in and Michael Sarrazin, Frankenstein: A True Story. That was a very good one. That. Yeah, I've got that one on Blu-ray. Yeah, there's so many variations of Frankenstein, and again, like Dracula, they've tried to. There's a lot of scenes that are in one movie that aren't in another movie, and vice versa. I don't think they can actually, recapture the book word for word. But they have a go on that. For instance, when Frankenstein's monsters in the Arctic, that was a big feature of not Bram Stoker, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I've actually just got a new edition of that. The Penguin Classics range. I picked it up in Waterstones on Saturday because what I like about those Penguin Classics, they tell you all about its story at the beginning. The history of the author and all that. So I think that's about the third version of Frankenstein I've got now. But yeah, Frankenstein, Dracula. Can't really think of anything else. They're the two main horror icons. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're the two that the most movies have been made from, Frankenstein and Dracula. Brian says, to Kevin William Wardle. I have Hands of the Ripper and Twins of Evil on Network Blu-ray. They are good releases. They certainly are good releases, Brian. Yeah, the cracking films, them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, fantastic. Simon Film Fan says, Brian Gilson and Countess Dracula. Yeah. The Lizard Monkey, Wurzel Gummidge, John Pertwee. Do you have a cup of tea and a slice of cake, Aunt Sally? Used to be on a Sunday afternoon, didn't it? Yeah. Wurzel Gummidge had Jeffrey Bailden as the very creepy crow man. Oh, right, yeah. I didn't watch all of it. I only seen bits of it and that, you know. But I do remember it being on a Sunday tea time, John Pertwee. He was a good actor, another great actor, still sadly missed to this day. John Pertwee, he's good at playing Doctor Who. And as I say, when he played that arrogant horror star, didn't he? Paul Henderson in The House That Dripped Blood, the last story. Yeah, he's great in that. I like the little nod he gives as well to, you know, when he's on the horror movie set and he's criticising all the modern horror movies and that. He's got his cane, hasn't he? And he sort of like, he sees pictures and that, and he sort of like wrecks them with his cane and that. He's very, very arrogant in that, you know, he looks down his nose and he talks he's very short with everybody. I like the little nod verbal nod he gives to Christopher Lee, where he says about the great monsters, you know, Frankenstein, the Mummy, Dracula, and then he says, oh, not the new fella, of course, but the original Bela Lugosi, yeah. Not that new fella, meaning Christopher Lee. I love that pause. Yeah. Little nod, you know, to Christopher Lee. Walk On Always Believe is saying, my favourite Vincent Price film out of those I've seen is The Mad Magician. That's a great one. I've got the indicator release of that, The Mad Magician, yeah. It's in black and white, but it's a very, very enjoyable movie, yeah. Yeah, The Mad Magician from 1954, I believe, yeah. Another great Vincent Price movie is The House of Wax. Oh, I think that's one of his best movies, that. The House of Wax with Phyllis Kirk. He's great in that, yeah. Oh, he's fantastic in that, Vincent Price. I like him in The Fly as well. Well, there's loads of movies I like Vincent Price in, but The House of Wax is in my all-time top 10 of Vincent Price, you know, Vincent Price movies. Gina's saying, Beast is great, and indeed it is, Gina, yeah. My favourites are Baby and Moraine, one of the extra features about a witch, yeah. I love Beasts, it's fantastic, yeah. Another good TV series I can recommend, Gina, it's got Nigel Havers, Chillers, he's in one of them, Nigel Havers. He's on of an afternoon now, doesn't he? Talking about the antiques, yeah. Very, very fine actor. Yeah, Nigel Havers, he's in one, he's in a very good one. But check out that one, Chillers. I think it was made in the mid-80s. Yeah, that's a good one. I think there's about 6 or 7 episodes on it. But yeah, you don't get too much of a good thing, do you? Walk On Always Believe is saying, I think Terry and Minder, in a weird way, kind of saw Arthur Dale as a kind of father figure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I don't mean George Michael's father figure song. I'm a big fan of George Michael. Yeah. Yeah. Wake me up before you go. I don't want your freedom. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of George Michael. Very sadly, you know, he's no longer with us. He was a great performer. Club Tropicana. Well, the memories are coming back now, guys, of the early 80s, all the nightclubbing. That was another good song I liked in the early 80s. Just saying the word nightclubbing. The one David Essex made, Me and My Girl, Nightclubbing. Any of you guys remember that? I used to love that one. He made it in the summer of 82. Me and My Girl, Nightclubbing. That's great, that one. I love David Essex. Yeah, I always liked him. Gonna Make You a Star and all them. Ebony, A Minute of Silence for British Company Network DVD, which went into receivership, yeah, on Monday. The Hammer House of Horror Blu-ray was very special, yeah, definitely, yeah. I had that one, but I upgraded to the Australian imprint one because that one it's got more special features on it, and I like the packaging and that. But yeah, that's not, as I say, that's not to say the network one was inferior. That was a good release as well. But I had that for a while. When I saw the imprint one, I upgraded to the imprint one. But yeah, as I say it again, very, very sad about network and that going under. You know, I always hate to hear about companies going under. You know, it's especially like when it sort of like impacts on us as physical media collectors, you know. But yeah, I think streamers played a big part in the demise. It's Stack Hoffman, The Last Man on Earth, Vincent Price. I've got that one. Yeah, I love that one. It's good. Yeah. Yeah, I've got the other one as well, the Amiga Man, Charlton Heston. Yeah, they're all sorts of like variations, aren't they, on the I Am Legend story by Richard Matheson. I wasn't fussy on the Will Smith one, though. The coloured one. I wasn't fussy on that one at all, the Will Smith one. Richard Brown says, Is baby the one with the thing walled up in the house? That is Grace, as is Moraine, a bit of folk horror. Do you know, I think that might be the one. I haven't watched it for ages, you know. I'll have to revisit it, Beasts. But I think you might be right there, Richard, yeah. Gina's saying, looking forward to seeing your DVD collection. Oh, yeah. In a couple of weeks' time, all going well. I'll have them all on the in the other case and that. And I'll film a little video and show you guys all my horror movies. And that. I've got other movies as well, you know, like spaghetti westerns and musicals and that. But the first one will focus solely on my horror movie collection. And I've got quite a few, let me tell you. Am I dead? Yes. No one with Bill Paxton and Lance Henriksen near Dark is, right? Lance Henriksen's been in loads of films, hasn't he? Oh yeah, he's made it. I think he's made as many films as Nicolas Cage. It always pops up in a movie, Lance Henriksen. Jeff Joffe says, for their first film, I thought the twin sisters did a great job in Twins of Evil. Oh, I agree with you, Jeff. They certainly did, yeah. I think they were only 18 too, yeah. Yeah, and I think they were actually, I think they got picked up. I think they were Playboy models, and if somebody spotted them and offered them the role in the Twins of Evil. I know they were some kind of fashion, you know, glamour models. I'm sure they were Playboy models, yeah. And they got spotted by I think it was a talent scout for Hammer, yeah. So just like Veronica Carlson got spotted, you know, one of the Hammer scouts saw a photo. My favourite Hammer girl, by the way, the lovely Veronica Carlson, sadly no longer with us. Yeah, was it Freddie Francis spotted a photo in a paper, and he said he wanted it to be in Dracula's risen from the grave and that, you know, so she was all made up and that, you know. So yeah, lovely Veronica Carlson. Oh, absolutely gorgeous girl, and a very, very sadly missed. And she was always nice and that, you know, with the fans and that, you know. Saw clips of it at the horror conventions and that, you know, and she was a very, very consummate artist as well, guys, Veronica Carlson, because she actually got Christopher Lee to pose for her when he was playing Dracula, you know, and she did a real good job, you know. Yeah, oh yeah, very, very talented lady, and a very beautiful lady as well. Yeah, very, very sad, you know, she had to go so soon. The doctor's saying, I own Network in some ways. The highlights for me, Thriller, yeah, definitely. The ATV series, Rumpole of the Bailey, Space 1999, Department Test. That was another big staple of me childhood. Department Test, Jason King and Co. Tales of Unease, yeah. Lady Killers, Disraeli, Dick Turpin. Such great releases, I know, yeah. Yeah, what's the name? Played Dick Turpin, didn't he? Richard O'Sullivan from Man About the House, yeah. So, oh yeah, very sad about Network. Simon, film fan. So glad I have Networks, The Saints, yeah. I doubt it will get another release, yeah. It's a shame, isn't it? You know, really is. Slack Hoffman. Hi, Alan, from Atlanta, USA. Hi, yeah, you okay? Thanks for stopping by. Walk on, always believe. I also saw Corruption yesterday with Peter Cushing on Blu-ray, yeah. I did not like it one bit. Oh, right, I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was a good little film. The lady playing Peter Cushing's wife was one of the most annoying, detestable, stuck-up characters I've ever seen in the film. Would that be Sue Lloyd from The Baron? I mentioned Sue Lloyd before. She was in The Baron. I'm sure it's a while since I watched Corruption. I'm sure it's Sue Lloyd. She gets her face damaged, doesn't she, with a thing that the light falls on her face and that, and he has to sort of like kill women to get the graps, you know, for the skin graps. I love Corruption. He's a real swine in that, Peter Cushing. Not often he plays a baddie, but oh God, he was really vicious in that. Kevin says indicators seem to be thriving and their last sale was very popular. Yeah, let's hope they thrive and thrive and thrive for good, you know, perpetually, You know, I don't want to see any more companies going out of business. Ebony says Witch's House was later released as Ghost House. Yeah. Kevin's saying, yes, Alan, Haunted House, yes. I knew that was the game. I knew that was the one you meant when you said the 4 witches. Yeah, yeah. I remember. I don't remember all the names, but I remember one which was called Glenda the Good. Yeah, Glenda the Good. She was the good witch in that, and you had the old crone. You know, like the witch house of the DC comics. You know, the Witching Hour comics. But oh yeah, that was my favorite horror game. You know, definitely when I was a kid. You know, the Haunted House. Yeah, I absolutely loved that game. I played it to death. I really did. Yeah, you'll pardon the pun. Yeah. Yeah, I loved Haunted House. And I think you can get old copies of them on eBay. I don't know how much they go for. But yeah, it's still available on eBay if you look around and that. That's his Escape from Colditz. Jeff is saying, are you a fan of zombie films, Alan? I like some of them. My favourite one has got to be... my 2 favourite zombie films are Night of the Living Dead from 1968 and The Plague of the Zombies, Hammer, which I think was from 1965 or 66. They're my 2 favourite zombie movies. But after that, I'm not a huge fan of them. I like one with a good story, but I think they're the same thing. You know, the shambling corpses and that. You know, and I think it's a bit ridiculous sometimes when they're chasing somebody in the woods and despite the slow gait, you know, shambling that they managed to catch up with them. You know, yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, yeah, my mum doesn't like zombie films either. I only have to say there's a zombie. Oh, I'm not watching that. I don't like zombies. You know, I don't like zombies. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not really a great fan of them. I like a good one. I tell you what's a good zombie. I tell you what's a good one, Jeff. A modern one. Well, it's made a few years ago. I'd say about 7-8 years ago. Outbreak on a plane. The Living Dead on the plane. That's a great one. That, yeah, all the passengers turn into zombies and that, and they turn on all the staff and that. You know, they turn on the cabin crew, they turn on the stewardesses and that. You know, and they ripped into shreds and that. You know, there's something in. I think it's something. It's a while since I watched it. I think there's something in the cargo or something like a virus, and it affects them. You know, makes them evil and that, and they turn into flesh hungry zombies. Yeah. Yeah, it's got a couple of titles. Yeah, Playing Dead's one. Playing Dead, yeah, and yeah, Nice Living Dead on a Plane. Yeah, it's got a few titles. Yeah, I've got that in my collection. Yeah, that's a good one. So check that one out if you like horror movies set on an airliner. Check that one out. And that, oh yeah, the zombies. Oh god, they really go to town with the passengers and that, you know, and the crew. You know, yeah, it's a good one. That I like that one. But they're my 2 favourite ones, as I say, the Hammer one. Plague of the Zombies, and the other one, Night of the Living Dead, George A. Romero. Not really a big fan of Dawn of the Dead. Not really a big fan of that one. And the other one they made, the Dawn of the Dead, and there's another one he made, wasn't there? Around about it was about 2 or 3 years later, Day of the Dead. Not really a huge fan of those movies, but I do like that first one. Stack Hoffman, Witchfinder General, Matthew Hopkins. Yeah, that's another great one by Vincent Price. He's a swine in that. He doesn't show any mercy whatsoever, dragging the poor people out the homes and that, making them confess when 95% of the time they weren't witches at all. Dr. Impossible says to Kevin, it doesn't mean a thing. Network had been going for 25 years, then gone. People thought Network were going to be around for many more years. The same could happen to Indicator. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. A Mind for Movies with Alexander Wayne. I've just put Fright on my Amazon wish list. Thanks, Alan. I love me George. Susan George, yeah. She's good in Straw Dogs as well. That's one of her best movies, Straw Dogs. Yeah, Straw Dogs, yeah. Original, good film, but hard to watch at times. It is, yeah. I love Straw Dogs. I like the remake as well. That's quite good. Yeah, oh yeah, I love Susan George. Walk On Always Believes says, what character do you prefer, Count Orlok or Dracula? I've never watched Count Orlok. Never watched it. Or Dracula. Also, which look do you prefer from those 2 characters? Are you talking about the cartoon of Count Orlok? Or do you mean I see what you mean now. You're trying to draw an analogy, aren't you, between the Salem's Lot vampire and the Dracula, the conventional Dracula. I like both of them, really. They're all good in their own way. You know, the baldy-headed one, or the Orlok style, as played by Max Schreck in the old 1920s Nosferatu. He's quite scary, as is Christopher Lee when he plays Count Dracula. You know, they're all good in their own different ways. You know, I like both of them. Yeah. So I thought you meant talking about the cartoon series there, Count Orlok. Slack Hoffman, Theatre of Blood was brilliant, especially where Price is the hairdresser. Oh God, yeah, that's a bit funny in parts, that isn't it? He has this bushy wig on, doesn't he, and dark glasses. Yeah, there's some funny parts in that Theatre of Blood. It's kind of it's a black comedy, isn't it? You know, a horror comedy, Theatre of Blood, but it's one of his best movies. That Diana Rigg and that, she's good in it as well. Yeah, great cast as well. You know, Robert Morley, Ian Hendry. You know, all the legends of British cinema. But I love Theatre of Blood. I always love Vincent Price when he comes on that record with Michael Jackson. Yeah, he starts off, darkness falls across the land. Sorry about the awful Vincent Price impression, guys. I couldn't resist that. Yeah, he goes, the midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. He's very hard to take off, Vincent Price. I'm not going to go any further. Mike Yarwood need worry about anything or Rory Bremner. But I do like to throw one in every now and then. But the Boris Karloff lisp, it crops up now and again. Right, moving on. Richard Brown, do you like true crime stories? Some of them quite disturbing, aren't they? You know, knowing they really happened and that, you know, that's what some of these horror movies were made from, actual cases. I think that's what makes them extra disturbing. You know, you think, oh God, this really happened, you know. Some of them can be quite horrific. They can be quite horrific, yeah. That Jeffrey Dahmer one, he made a movie of him, didn't he? And of course, I think the most horrific one is the Charles Manson killings, you know, poor Sharon Tate, you know, the Tate LaBianca killings. Oh, that was horrific. That poor girl, you know, just starting off with like movies and that, you know, she had a whole life ahead of her. Oh yeah, horrific. Yeah, you wonder how they could do it, don't you? You know, but oh yeah, I agree. That's some pretty. We used to have at the old when we first got Sky, and we had all the channels, every single channel, because we used to pay. We haven't got it now because it got too expensive. But they used to put a lot of true crime. They used to put a lot of true crime dramas on there. You know, actually happened, and some of the cases, like, it'd make your hair stand on end, and that, you know, you wonder how they could do it. You know, that Ted Bundy. That's another horrific crime case. That Ted Bundy, yeah. And oh yeah, there's some really nasty cases in that, you know, in the annals of crime history. You know, always like those when you go into the Chamber of Horrors and you see the wax figures of the murders and that, you know, Christie and all them, you know, Dr. Crippen give you the creeps, you know. Yeah, but oh yeah, definitely some of them can be really disturbing. Kevin's saying, Africa Adio. Africa Adio is a bit hard going if you're not used to Mondo movies. I haven't seen that one, Kevin. I had to fast forward some scenes. Africa Adio. Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, that bad, is it? Simon Film Fan says, a lot of these boutique labels make their money on sales, but us collectors are a niche market in reality. The mainstream are more interested downloading Fast and Furious rubbish. Yeah, I've got no intention of checking those Fast and Furious movies out. I don't fancy them. They're not my cup of tea. You know, even the Mission Impossible movies, not my cup of tea at all. I like me horror movies. You know, that's my number one genre. And yeah, even westerns. I'm not a great lover of westerns, guys. The only westerns I really like are Clint Eastwood's. I like a few of John Wayne's, but after that, I think that most of them are the same bloody thing all the time. You know. Spy films bore me. They really bore me. Them espionage. Oh, I'm yawning my head off within what? In the space of 15 minutes, they put an espionage movie on. Same with politics. Not a great lover of political films, you know. Anything with opera in, don't like that, you know. And as I said before, I don't like period pieces, you know, like the Musketeers and that, and things like that. Not a great lover of period pieces, and you know, movies like The Scarlet Blade or Hammerdown. No intention of checking them out at all. Yeah, not a great fan of period pieces. Right, Stack's asking me, what did you think of Torture Garden? I love Torture Garden. Yeah, love it. One of my all-time favourites horror anthology movies. Burgess Meredith is really on the money, playing the Diablo, alias the Devil. Yeah, I love Torture Garden. I think it's a great one. I especially like that one with Jack Palance, where he's after the works of Poe and he kills Peter Cushing, doesn't he? Because Peter Cushing, he's an expert in Poe, and he's got everything about Poe, hasn't he? And Jack Palance, he wants to get his greedy hands on the collection. Love that one. Yeah, I like Torture Garden. Yeah, love it. I love all the Amicus horror portmanteau movies, guys. There's not one bad one, in my opinion. Slack's asking me, I remember Jeffrey Bale in an asylum and as Cat Weasley. That's right, he was in asylum. Yeah, as I said before, and Cat Weasley, he was great playing that fish out of water role, wasn't he? A wizard from the Middle Ages, thrust into modern day Britain. Yeah, I love Jeffrey Bale, and he's a great actor. Jeff Joffrey, one of my favourite films, Torture Garden. It's flawed, but I still love it. It's a good one. Yeah, I like Torture Garden. I'll tell you another good anthology, guys. I'm not sure. I don't think it's an Amicus movie. I don't think so. The Uncanny. It was made in 1977, starring Peter Cushing. It's basically about cats. Every story involves a cat. And Peter Cushing, he plays this. I think he's either an author or he's some kind. He's to do with books. And he's discovered, I think he's written the book. That's it. I think he's written the book. He's got the fear that cats are going to take over the world. And he tries to sort of convince Ray Milland, I think he's his agent, that cats are the danger. They're going to take, which is pure hogwash, isn't it? Really. But the way they did it in the movie, it's really good, So you want to check that one out. It's called The Uncanny, and it was made in 1977. And it's got some great little cat stories in it. Yeah, fantastic. Especially the one with Wellington the cat. I won't say any more about that, but watch out for the one with a cat called Wellington. You'll have a blast with that one. Susan Penhaligon's in it as well, as a rather dodgy maid. The soul woman's got all cats in her house and that. But The Uncanny, highly recommend that to Grace. Richard Brown, killer pianos and robots. Killer pianos and robots. Yeah. Dr. Impossible says to Simon, that's the problem. People naturally like the sales because you can pick up a bargain, but also does a disservice to the label because items aren't being sold at the standard price. Yeah, true. Loss. Yeah, definitely. Jeff saying, horrible to leave the iron on that girl's dress. Yeah. Slack Hoffman, House of Wax was awesome. Indeed, it was. Yeah. Great little movie, House of Wax, and one of Vincent Price's greatest movies, in my opinion. Simon Film Fan says, did you pick up Network's Assault? I did. And Baby Love. I haven't got Baby Love. Two good films starring Susie Kendall and Linda Hayden. I've got Assault and I love it. The picture quality is absolutely pristine on that, Simon. And Baby Love, that's the one with Linda Hayden. I haven't got that one, but I'm going to try and get that one. Yeah, there was another one, wasn't there, as well? Baby Doll, starring Carol Baker. My mum said that's a load of tosh, that. But she hasn't seen, I don't think she's seen Baby Love. I'll have to ask her about that again. But yeah, I'll have to get that one, Baby Love. Yeah, is that the one with Linda Hayden? She plays a kind of a little, like a Lolita, doesn't she? I'll have to get that one, Baby Love. I love Linda Hayden. Yeah, I loved it in Taste of Blood of Dracula and The House on Straw Hill. That's a good little thriller, guys. The House on Straw Hill. And if you haven't seen that, check that one out. I can highly recommend it. Jeff Joffrey says, Ray Milland and Frogs, so bad it's good. I've got that one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's one of those fun movies, isn't it? Not to be taken too seriously, But yeah, I love Frogs. Yeah, Ray Milland. Again, he's a good actor. Ray Milland. He was good in The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. That was they done a special release of that I think it was about 2 years ago. The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Ray Milland. Richard saying Frogs isn't bad, it's just good. Good fun movie. Patrick Maytag. Hi Alan. You okay, Patrick? Thanks for stopping by, mate. It's always nice to see you. I just wanted your thoughts on 1972's The Creeping Flesh. Very underrated Ian Cushing vehicle dealing with evil and insanity. Yeah, seeing it. I like it. Another one needing a high definition release. Yeah, I did have that one a couple of years ago, but it had another movie with it as well, which I wasn't too keen on, so I let it go. But hopefully Arrow might pick that up, or Indicator, and give it the special release it deserves. But yeah, I like the Creeping Flesh. Yeah, it's a kind of a different kind of horror movie, isn't it? Yeah. I fingers crossed, it gets picked up for a good British release. Walk On Always Believe is saying, I love horror, but I never get scared as horrors. I also don't get an feeling when I've seen real, actual graphic band stuff. I guess I have a strong stomach. Yeah, and you might maybe, if you watched a lot of horror, you might have become jaded. It's like the haunted house movies. I've become jaded to them now, because they're basically the same thing. Couple rent the house on. I've got like a little girl or little boy or two, and the kid's usually the first one to start seeing strange things, isn't it? A figure going past in the mirror and noises and that, in another room or down the stairs. They never turn the bloody lights on, do they? In some of these movies and that. And they stay in the house no matter what happens and that, but yeah, you can spot these tropes a mile away, and they're getting to be a bit samey now, these haunted house movies, unless they've got like a really deep story with a kind of mystery. If you've got that mystery element to it, I think that's what sort of like it steps the movie's premise up a bit, a bit more, and make it a bit more enjoyable, if you know what I mean. But if it's just the same old, special effects, haunted house, get the Exorcist in, get the medium in, all will be well at the end. Yeah, they're getting a bit samey then, those kind of haunted house movies. Yeah, that last Conjuring movie, guys, I wasn't too keen on. I liked the first two, but I didn't like that third one. And even the Annabelle movie started to go downhill. This is it. You see, once you start making film after film, a franchise and that, the quality dips. You've got to be a very, very good writer to sort of like maintain that interest, in these kinds of movies. It's always very, very difficult to do. The same can be applied to novels, and that you start writing a series of novels, and that you've got to sort of like you've got to up your game for the next novel, and that's to keep your readers interested. Because the minute you start failing, you're going to lose your readers. The same with movies, Yeah, it takes some doing like to maintain the interest. Shane Kirkley says, Network released some of Hitchcock's early British films. I also love their release of Jack the Ripper with Michael Caine. Yeah, it's a good one, that one, Jack. I haven't got that one in collection. I remember watching it on TV many years ago, and I do remember enjoying it, yeah. So I'll have to pick that up at some stage. Jeff's saying Frogs is a bit like Squirm. Both are worth a watch, yeah. Simon Film Fan, Deathline, another cracking release. That's the one with Christopher Lee. He's only in it for 5 minutes, isn't he? He plays like a businessman, doesn't he, with a bowler hat and a briefcase and an umbrella. Yeah, that was easy money for him that day, wasn't it? Yeah, that's the one with the mutants, isn't it? On the railway line and that. Yeah. Brian says, it's a Simon Film Fan. I need to get the network Blu-rays of the other Hammer films, yeah. I've started getting some from America, because he got like more extras on them. The Screen Factory ones from America. So what I've been doing, the ones I've got from America, the ones I've ordered from the Screen Factory label, I've got the Studio Canal slipcases. I put the Studio Canal slipcases over them just to have the slipcase. I've got the best of both worlds, and I sell the Studio Canal version because it hasn't got many extras on the Studio Canal. Although they're great releases, guys, I love them, don't get me wrong. I do prefer the Screen Factory, if only for all the special features. If, for instance, the Scars of Dracula, it's got a great commentary by Christopher Lee, and so that's why I sent for the Screen Factory of the Scars of Dracula, because Christopher Lee's comment on the movie, which is not available on the Studio Canal version of the Scars of Dracula. So I've got those to watch. Yeah, the other ones, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, and the Plague of the Zombies. So I'm looking forward to listening to the commentary on them. Yeah, always love it when they have the commentary and loads of special features. Brian's saying to Simon Film Fan, I've got that release of Deathline. It's really good with great special features, right? Walk On Always Believe says, there's only been one film that scared me, and that's Stephen King's It, or Pennywise the Clown. I saw the first few minutes that when I was a bairn, and I was terrified. I haven't seen it since, and I still have a phobia of clowns. A lot of people do. A lot of people are scared of clowns. It don't really bother me, to be honest. But I know what you mean about Pennywise. He was quite scary, wasn't he? Tim Curry. Yeah, it's part where he opened his mouth and roared, you know, yeah. And in the novel, there's one thing that, you know, I've said this before about it. It was fantastic all the way through, especially the novel. I do prefer the novel than to the movies. But it was let down, guys, by that awful bloody ending with the bloody spider. Oh, my days, you know, if ever there was a disappointing ending to a mammoth, weighty novel, that was it. It turned out to be nothing but a bloody giant spider in a cave, you know. Very, very disappointing. I didn't like that ending at all, you know. I thought he'd be like a kind of a demon, you know, like a Satan, like, you know, and he confronts him and like, you know, like a real, you know, formidable foe, like Dracula, you know, or as I say, Satan, you know. He turned out to be just an overgrown spider that could have come from a 1950s B sci-fi movie. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't like that ending at all, guys. It's a shame, like, because, you know, it was an interesting story about the shapeshifter taking the form of all the movie monsters and that, you know, and coming back every year. It's a 24 years or 25 years. He comes back, doesn't he? Like a cycle, yeah, to Derry. But yeah, I didn't like the ending of it at all. Great shame. Walk on, always believe, but I love the Terrifiers. Yeah. Art the Clown, yeah. Scariest clown at the moment, in my opinion, yeah, definitely. Although I do prefer the first Terrifier movie to the sequel. I thought the sequel was a bit, there's too long, you know. I didn't like the corny Sesame Street narrative either. I didn't like I thought the ending was a bit corny, but nevertheless, I have added it to my collection because there was some parts in it that I did enjoy, and there was some parts that I absolutely hated, to be honest. So it's a mixed bag, really. That Terrifier 2, yeah. Look, I've got a lovely edition. I've got the 4K ultra high definition with the slipcover. So I've got the 2 Terrifiers now. So I don't know when the third one will be out. Slack Hoffman, do you remember quite a rare series, Alan, called The Fantastic Journey with Roddy McDowell? The Fantastic Journey, I've heard of it. I don't recall ever watching it. I remember Fantastic Voyage with Raquel Welch, the film, where they go into the guy's body, they shrink them, don't they? Make it very, very tiny and microscopic. You can barely see them. And don't they inject them into the guy's body to try and save him? Fantastic Voyage, yeah. Then there was there was a series called The Time Tunnel, we used to watch in the 60s. That was quite good. Yeah. And Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. But I don't think I've watched Fantastic Journey with Roddy McDowell, but though it rings a bell. It does ring a bell. Simon, film fan, says to Brian Gilson, Roger Moore was great in The Man Who Haunted Himself. He definitely was, yeah, definitely. Another excellent network release. I love that one, The Man Who Haunted Himself. It's a fantastic movie, that. I spoke about it many times, guys, on my channel. You know, one of my all-time favourites, doppelganger movie, The Man Who Haunted Himself, also known as The Strange Case of Mr. Pelham, which was actually an Alfred Hitchcock segment in, you know, the old Alfred Hitchcock Presents series of the 50s and 60s. Yeah, The Strange Case of Mr. Pelham, which wasn't as good as the Roger Moore version. Yeah, it was one of my all-time favourite movies, that, The Man Who Haunted Himself. I love that movie. And I believe Roger Moore, that was his favourite movie. He said that himself. It was his favourite movie. Very underrated movie, that. Richard Brown, Lucio Fulci, FIF, Fifth Good Zombies, yeah. The Listen Monkey says, I watched The Haunting and then happened to visit a confectioner's in Chester that the shop assistant claimed to be full of ghosts. Would that be the Thorntons Chocolate Cabin? I soon got out of there quick. Yeah, there's a shop in Chester. I think it's the Thorntons Chocolate Cabin. There's supposed to be a girl ghost there from the 19th century. She throws all the boxes of chocolates around in the shop. Very, very spooky. Yeah. It was on I think it was on an episode of Most Haunted. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a famous ghost story, that, the haunted Thorntons chocolate shop in Chester. Richard Brown did not fifth. Is that FIF? Sorry, guys, the comments have jumped here.
Just bear with me, guys. It's just getting back to the comments now. Am I dead? Yes. Have you seen the weird horror tusk? Apologise, by the way, if I missed anybody out. I'm just trying to get level again with the comments. Have you seen the weird horror tusk directed by Kevin Smith? No, I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. And what did you think of it? If you have, no, I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it. I have to check that out. Presume it's about a monstrous elephant's tusk. Brian's saying to Simon Philip, I've got that release of Deathline. It's really good with great special features, right? Walk on Always Believe is saying, there's only been one film that scared me, and that's, oh, sorry, I mean, what's that? Yeah, the comments are going a bit weird, guys. I'm sorry about this. Just jumping around like nobody's business. Jeff's saying, yeah, Flight of the Living Dead, a really good film. It is, Jeff, yeah. Yeah, the zombies on the plane, yeah. You've reminded me to see that again. Cheers. Yeah, it's a good one, Flight of the Living Dead, yeah. Slack Hoffman, I love the original Suspiria, me too. Just the school principal and scary building was enough to make me freeze as a kid. I know. Love Suspiria. I've got the 4K of that. I've got to watch that yet. I haven't got around to watching it. I don't fancy checking out that remake. I just don't fancy that at all. Sorry, guys. I'm just get me thing level here. So, Lewis Clark, hey Alan, hope you're doing well, mate. I'm not too bad, thanks. Say Lewis, hope you are. Hope you are too. I've been watching some good horror movies. Yeah. I watched The Curse of Rosalie, as I said before, on Saturday. It's a kind of an American supernatural horror movie. I didn't like the ending. It was a bit hokey, you know. I watched the Evil Dead remake, you know, from a few years ago, and I fell asleep. It wasn't as good as, in my opinion, it wasn't as good as the first, The Evil Dead. Apart from that, I haven't really watched anything outstanding. Watched, as I said, I watched the Saturday night and Sunday morning, you know, the with Albert Finney. That's about it, really. I've got the Tony Hancock box set. Got that from HMV. I've been watching that. Not really my cup of tea. Really. I've never really watched Tony Hancock's right through. I thought I'll give them a try in that, but just can't get into them and that. You know, you made years ago and that, and a lot of talk in them. Yeah, any fans of Tony Hancock on here tonight? Although I do like the movies he made. He only made a couple, but his movies were good. Kevin's saying Creeping Flesh is superb. You can get the region free Blu-ray from Mill Creek. Nice triple disc. I think that was the one I had actually, Kevin. Yeah. There was one movie on there I wasn't too fussy on, so I let that go. But I think the other one was the Burgess Meredith one, Torture Garden. Oh, I've got the what's the name of that now? I've got the indicator of that, Torture Garden, which is a fantastic release, you know. But yeah, that could very, very well be the same disc I had. Yeah. Brian's saying to Simon Philip, I need to pick up The Man Who Haunted Himself on Blu-ray. Yeah, you won't be disappointed. It's a great movie. Rock and Roll Hell. Evening, mate. Are you okay, mate? Thanks for stopping by. Always nice to see you. Slack Hoffman says 10 Rillington Place was seriously disturbing. It certainly was. Richard Attenborough, yeah, played the serial killer John Christie. Oh yeah, it was disturbing that. And Timothy Evans, didn't he? He took the blame and he went to the hangman, didn't he? Yeah, very, very dark, dismal movie, that 10 Rillington Place. And boy, does Richard Attenborough deliver a fantastic performance playing that psychopath John Reginald Christie. Oh yeah, it's a very, very dark movie, that, and one of the worst murder cases in British crime history. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. Jeff Joffe, no doubt they'll make a movie about Alex Murdo, who killed his own son and wife. evil beyond words. I don't know too much about that case, Jeff. Oh yeah, I'll have to. Is that currently in the news at the moment? Is it? Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that. I don't know too much about that one. I haven't. Don't really listen to the news much now. I don't really. I used to buy the papers every day and that, but there's that much depressing stuff now. Just don't bother, you know. It's always bad news. Am I dead yet? Do you like the American Horror Story series? Oh, a bit of a hit and miss then. Yeah, there's a lot of bad storylines in them. Yeah, they would say the first one started off okay, then it went downhill. And I didn't like that one with all the witches in that. That was one of the worst ones. That, you know, very, very disappointing. Yeah. Brian Gilson. I enjoyed your aviation horror video. I recommend the film Airborne with Mark Hamill about a ghost getting released on a plane. Oh, I'll have to watch that one. Airborne, Mark Hamill. I haven't heard of that one, Brian. Thanks very much, mate. Yeah, I'll check that out. Ghost getting released on a plane. Yeah, there's one. They're talking about horror movies on a plane. Have you guys seen the trailer for that one? Exorcism. Is it Exorcism at 50,000 feet? It's a kind of a spoof disaster movie with horror elements, you know, obviously including elements of exorcism. Yeah, I watched the trailer. Yeah, it looks a little bit mad to me. Like, don't really fancy it. Yeah, exorcism. I'm sure it's 50,000 feet or 30,000 feet, but I don't think I'll be. I don't think I'll be checking that out. Jeff's saying the only real war film I ever liked was The Great Escape, 1963. I like the theme tune to that as well. Yeah, he used to play it at the England matches, didn't he? The Great Escape. Yeah, he used to have the band there, the England team's band, brass band. Yeah, all shown at Christmas, isn't it? The Great Escape. Yeah, it is a good film. That. I remember Steve McQueen on the motorbike. Richard Brown. I read The Three Musketeers last year. It's fantastic. A lot of people do like it. Yeah, I suppose it's a kind of like a Marmite book, isn't it? As is the case with the movies, you know, some people like them, some people loathe them. Yeah, but a lot of those classics I've tried to get into, you know, and like some Kidnapped and Three Musketeers, and I've cast them down. Like, you know, I'm not even going to attempt to read Tolstoy's War and Peace, because I think, you know, no, I don't think it'll last beyond the first couple of pages of that. You know, very, very intense reading that one, War and Peace. Yeah, even some of Charles Dickens' books I couldn't really get into. You know, very, very wordy books, aren't they? Although my favourite Charles Dickens one is Oliver Twist. That's my all-time favourite one. That I love the movie as well. You know, the musical Oliver with Oliver Reed and that. Oh God, was he scary, Bill Sykes? Oh God, sends shivers down your spine. Yeah, but oh yeah, love Oliver Twist. Yeah, and A Christmas Carol. That's another favourite Dickens story of mine. Scrooge. Yeah. Kevin's saying, yes, Africa Adio came in a Blue Underground box set. Like I said, a hard watch, right? Yeah, I'll have to watch out for that one. Dr. Impossible is asking me, what's the most effective Gothic horror you've seen, Alan? The most effective Gothic horror would have to be Dracula, starring the late, great Christopher Lee from 1958, closely followed by Frankenstein, 1957, both Hammer, starring the late, great Peter Cushing. They're the two most effective Gothic horror movies in my book. You know, they had everything. They had atmosphere, good acting, you know, gave you the chills, you know, good monsters, you know, and they told a good story, you know, Frankenstein, a man trying to play God, you know, and Dracula, you know, the vampire mythos, you know. Oh yeah, they're the two main Gothic classics for me. The most effective Gothic classics in horror, in the horror genre for me: Dracula, 1958, and Frankenstein from 1957, definitely. Keith William Wardle says Torture Gardener's great. Yeah, it's a good movie. I love it. Richard Brown saying, our cat won't take over the world. He's too idle. Yeah, and most cats are the harmless, aren't they? You know, you just couldn't say just couldn't imagine them taking over the world. There's some of these other animal sort of like animal subjects, guys, like rats and that. You know, I've read a couple of news reports where the rats are growing, the population of the rats is growing. You know, very, very reminiscent of James Herbert's novel, The Rats. You know, so yeah, that's quite worrying. You know, But yeah, cats are so lovable, yeah. Although they have featured in many a horror movie, haven't they? You know, especially the black cats, you know, the witches' cats and that, yeah. Seen them in many a horror movie and that. Slack Hoffman, Cat's Eyes was a good anthology movie. I've got that one. It's pretty good. The only story I had an issue with was the last one with the troll. I did not like that one at all with the troll. Nah, I thought that was corny. Yeah, it's the same with that other one as well. The Halloween one. You know, with the it's sort of like the framing story. It's got that like that little figure with the pumpkin head. You know, I forget the name of it now. What's it called? I've got the Scream Factory edition of that, and yeah, that last story with the troll. I didn't like that, but I like the other stories. Not All Hallows Eve. No, it's something along the lines of Halloween anyway. The Lizard Monkey. It's a pissy Peter Cushing and Whoopi Goldberg never got married after their brief affair. Did he have an affair with Whoopi Goldberg? Peter Cushing, that's news to me. Oh, I don't recall that. And somebody enlighten me on that. Yeah, Peter Cushing had an affair with Whoopi Goldberg in the early 1980s. His wife had long passed away by then, Helen, hadn't she? She died in the early 70s. Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. It's that I knew. Kevin's saying a loss of Hammer regulars and Torture Garden. Yeah. Steve, hi all. The Uncanny is great. It is. Yeah, it is. The Wellington story is super. It is. Yeah, it is. Definitely. Steve, Linda Hayden is my favourite horror female actress. Yeah, I love her as well. She's fantastic, Linda Hayden. Dr. Impossible is saying, Alan, do you have any indie horror films that you enjoyed over the years? Anything unusual or slightly unique from the usual suspects? Well, I've got a couple of low budget British independent horror films, if that's what you mean, like some Clown Doll, Humpty Dumpty, you know, movies like that. I don't really know all that much about the indie horror scene. I've just seen them in Asda, low budget movies, and I picked them up. They're usually a bit hit and miss, you know. Some are good and some are bad, you know. But that Clown Doll's very good, as is Humpty Dumpty, and Jack in the Box. That's a good little indie. Jack in the Box parts 1 and 2. I can highly recommend. You know, I actually mentioned them in a video I've done of the Creepy Doll, you know, Rivals to Chucky video. I don't know if any of you guys have watched that yet, but in that video I broached the subject of 5 Creepy Doll movies that are rivals to Chucky, and if you watch that video, see I mentioned those movies. Jeff's saying Cat's Eyes was another Cats film, I think, an anthology. Yeah, that's Cat's Eye. Yeah. Richard Brown, wasn't Fiona Richmond in The House on Straw Hill? Yeah, she was. Steve, Hammer was great, but for me, the Amicus anthologies were my favourites. Well, they were rivals, weren't they, Amicus and Hammer? A lot of people mistook Hammer films for Amicus and vice versa. Favourite story ever, Tom Baker in Vault of Horror, the voodoo one. Yeah, I mentioned that before, Steve. Yeah, he gets revenge, doesn't he, on the critics who savage his work. Yeah, he dips his hands in the boiling hot, you know, the big cauldron, like with the boiling water. And once he's dipped them in, he's got the power then to exact his revenge on all those who's wronged him. Yeah, it's a great one, that. A lot of those stories were taken from the old EC horror comics, you know, the William Gaines publications of the 1950s, Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt. They were all taken from those comics. One of my favourite ones is the one in the Blind Man Zone, where they make the Sergeant Major. He's very, very he's arrogant, isn't he? Aggressive with them and that, you know, the poor blind people. And they get the revenge on him, don't they? They put him in the room and that, and he starved his dog, don't they? And then when he let him out, he made this sort of like very narrow passageway with all razor blades, hundreds of razor blades and that. And if he goes through them, he cuts himself to death. But at the end, there's this dog hungry for blood, it's starving. That's a great one. That, and the Santa Claus one with Joan Collins, that's another great one as well. Oh yeah, I love me Amicus EC stories. I grew up with all of them. Walk On Always Believe says, I like George Michael. I like George Michael too. Beautiful voice. My favourite is Different Corner. Yeah. Kevin's saying, did you see Ray Milland in The Thing with Two Heads? I haven't seen that one. It sounds like a real fun movie, that, Kev. Yeah. The Thing with Two Heads. I'll have to get that one. Yeah. I like me quirky movies like that, yeah. So yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Thing with Two Heads. I have ordered a horror movie along those lines. I saw the trailer of it the other night. So I'll order that. It's a movie called The Brain. Any of you guys know that one? Yeah, The Brain. Yeah, that fella's in it who played the doctor in Reanimated. Something to do with a TV show or something. Scientists like Frankenstein and that, and this grotesque creature like a brain and that attacking people. So I've ordered that. I think it's 101 Films I've released that. So I've ordered The Brain. Yeah, looking forward to watching that. Jeff's asking me, Alan, have you seen Hammer House of Mystery and Suspense? Yeah, I had the series. Made 4 years after Hammer House of Horror. Love both series. Oh, did you like that one? Did you, Jeff? Yeah, I couldn't get into them. I didn't think he was as good as the Hammer House of Horror. I did have that. I flogged it on eBay. Yeah, it's a shame, like, as a missed opportunity. But I do know the Hammer House of Mystery and Suspense does have its fans. And then on the flip side of the coin, there's a lot of people who don't like it. And I didn't go much on that. But I'm glad you enjoyed it anyway, Jeff. Glad to hear you liked it. Walk On Always Believes says, I rarely, but physical media at the standard price because it's overpriced. So I often wait till the price goes down. Also, what's the network situation? Are they stopping media? I think they're just going under for good, aren't they? From what I've heard, I don't know too much about the story, but from what I've heard, they're just gone bust basically. Yeah. I take your points about the physical media, the prices, because some of the prices are ridiculous, especially the 4Ks. Bit ridiculous, like with these box sets. I mean, that one I bought, Picnic, a Hanging Rock, that was 50 odd quid. You're just paying for the packaging, aren't you? Paying for the box, you're paying for the book, and you're paying for the extras and that. It's just a rip off most of the time, but it's a nice addition. But God, was it pricey? I didn't begrudge paying out for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre special, the second sight one, big chunky box again, like Picnic, Hanging Rock, because I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorites horror movies, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I could watch that anytime and not get bored. That's a nice set, the nice booklets and that, and all extras and that. And the picture quality is absolutely pristine on that 4K. But yeah, although, as I say, some of them can be rip-offs, they really can be. Jeff's saying, if thine eye offends thee, pluck it out. Yeah. Ray Milland, the man with the X-ray eyes. Always remember that man with the X-ray eyes. Yeah, one of the most horrific scenes in horror movie history, in my opinion. Yeah, just plucks his eyes out, doesn't he, Ray Milland? Steve's saying favorite film year for me, 1971. Straw Dogs, Clockwork Orange, Get Carter, Blood on Satan's Claw. I haven't really got a favorite film year, Steve. I like more like decades, like 1970s was very good for horror. 1960s wasn't bad. 1950s was good for the emergence of Hammer, and the 1940s and 30s is particularly memorable for the Universal classic monsters. So I look at them more like, I haven't really got a favorite year as such. I look at them as more like decades, if you understand what I mean. Richard Brown, Stephen King is famous for his letdown endings. Yeah, that before. Yeah. Walk On Always Believe. What's odd. I'm English, and when an English film is made, it's either gets DVD release but no Blu-ray release, but gets Blu-ray release in a different country, which is odd. And that's why I buy a lot of my stuff on Amazon Germany, because you can't get them over here. I'm always on Amazon Germany looking for their rare titles and that. But yeah, I'd take your points. Yeah, definitely. Jeff Joffe to Richard Brown. Is the ending of Salem's Lot 1979 the same as the book? Well, it's quite some time since I watched both. You know, read the book, but of course he's slaughtered at the end, isn't he, Barlow? You know, yeah. But I don't really remember the last couple of sentences of the book, and I don't really remember the last closing scenes of the movie. I think they're pretty similar, you know. Of course, the vampire's different, and because in the novel, as I said before, he was more like Dracula, Christopher Lee, you know, man dressed in a dark suit and that, and very, very charming and mysterious. But in the movie, he's a monstrous, like Nosferatu creature, isn't he? Yeah. So, but I'm happy with both. I like both versions of Barlow, you know. But I did not like that one, Rob Lowe and Rutger Hauer. That was terrible. That it really was. I just hope this new Salem's Lot is not replicated. You know, doesn't replicate that Rob Lowe disaster. Sorry guys, comments are going a bit weird. Richard Brown saying, I think the TV ending to Salem's Lot is different, right? As I say, it's years since I read the book, and quite some time since I watched the movie, so I have to refresh my memory on the ending. Steve recently found a great TV series from the 70s called The Frighteners. Some terrific stories. I think I've had that one. Yeah. I wasn't too keen on that one. Yeah. Oh, the old adage, isn't it? One man's meat. Am I dead? Yes. Do you think Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Chucky are getting too old and past it for movie monsters? And we need more new ones like Art the Clown to take over. They're getting a bit worn out now, aren't they? You know, the Freddy Krueger, Jason, Michael. And so, yeah, the stories are getting very, very, very poor, very diluted, very dull, samey, you know, formulaic. We need something new in horror, yeah, definitely. And Art the Clown, if providing a story, you know, as I said, the second Terrifier, I didn't think much of the story. There was some parts of it I liked and some parts I hated. But if they start making him the new horror icon and they sort of like start writing crap storylines, he's going to go the same way as Krueger, Chucky, Voorhees, you know, going to go down and down and down in people's estimation. You've got to have the story. I've always said this, placed emphasis on the story above cheesy special effects. If you haven't got a good story, if you haven't got a good character, you have good characters to populate it and keep people hooked right from the first opening scene to the last dead in the water. You know, you might as well not bother making the movie, you know. Yeah, so I think a lot of these movies now, they're too reliant on cheesy special effects, you know. And that, in my opinion, that does detract from the movie's enjoyability factor to a, you know, often at times a big degree. Right, Jeff's saying the ending of Salem's Lot is supposed to have the vampires gathering in a car park. 2023. That's what I heard. All right, I haven't heard. As I say, I don't know, so I couldn't comment on that. The new Salem's Lot movie. Walk on, always believe. I rearranged my collection again. I put my arrows, Eureka's versus Mill Creek, ACA's Indicator, etc. together. So I thought, why not put all labels together? So I have Universal, MGM, Momentum, Warner. I have a tendency to put all my labels together, all my Screen Factories, all my Studio Canals, all my Arrow. They're all together on my current shelf. So the UK sort of got now, I've got like a lot of general horror movies. I might put all them in alphabetical order, so we can just go right to one, you know, that's sort of like independent labels and that. But all the big companies like Arrow, you know, Indicator, Screen Factory, Studio Canal, they're all grouped together. You know, they're all in the one place. Yeah, I like the way they look on the shelves. So that's how we organise mine anyway. Right, Richard Brown says the Suspiria remake is quite good, if a bit long. Yeah, at the moment I've got no strong desire to check that out, but maybe at some stage I might give it a shot. I might rent it maybe on Amazon Prime. I don't know, you know, but the first one is a classic for me. You know, it's just a fantastic, very, very colourful, one of the most colourful horror movies I've ever watched in my whole life. Ellis Mainworth asks, hi Alan, just wondering what your thoughts are on the movie The Thing with Kurt Russell. I'm not a fan. no, not a fan. Watched it many, many times. I tried to get into it, but I just can't get into it at all. No. One of my face movies, but never hear anyone talking about it. Yeah, it has got its fans. The thing, yeah. It's not a movie that I rank very highly. I've tried to like it. I've watched it a few times and that, but yeah, it's just not for me. No. I like the snowy scenes though. Yeah, some good snowy scenes in it. But of course, I'm a winter person, aren't I? I'm not going to go on about the hot weather. Don't worry. But I'm just saying, I like the snowy scenes. Yeah. Richard Brown saying, love Tony Hancock, right? Yeah, as I say, I'm having, the episodes I'm watching at the moment, I'm not really impressed because there's a lot of talk of them and that, and they're very, very old, But I don't know. Maybe as the series goes on, I might mellow a bit and start liking them. But up to now, found them it's a bit boring. Like, although I do like Sid James in it, he's very good in that, but most of the time, Hancock, he's just talking all the time and that, So, Walk On Always Believes says, Alan, the film Thrice, the scene where the gorgeous Susan George is watching a black and white zombie horror. Do you know what it is? Because I'd like to check it out. Is it Plague of the Zombies? Do you know? I can't remember. It's not Night of the Living Dead, is it? Could be Night of the Living Dead. I can't remember that because it's a while since I watched Thrice. But yeah, it could be Night of the Living Dead. I'll have to watch Fright again and refresh my memory about that. Yeah. So a lot of, when you haven't watched the movie for a while, you forget these little scenes, don't you? I'll have to check that out again. As I say, it's a while since I watched Fright. Slack Hoffman says, I love some of the old kitchen sink dramas. Yeah. Like Saturday night and Sunday morning. Yeah, watched it the other night. As I say, great movie. Also, The Angry Silence. What happened? But I haven't seen that one, The Angry Silence. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Steve says, love the old kitchen sink dramas of the 60s and 70s. Yeah, definitely. I thought Carol White was a superb actress in Cathy Come Home. Yeah. And Poor Cow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They made some good movies, the British, the kitchen sink dramas. Simon Film Fan is saying The Uncanny is underrated. The Wellington and Lucy story is my favourite as well. Yeah, great ones. Right, guys. Well, I'll finish at 10 o'clock. I've enjoyed it tonight. Yeah. So if you've got any last minute questions, please feel free to to fire away. I'll try to answer as many as I can. Till 10 o'clock. Yeah. So we've got roughly about 10 minutes to go. So yeah. So thanks for turning up. Anyway, it's gone over quick. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. So yes, ask me anything at all. Within reason. Steve, Play for Today was a brilliant series too. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Get that box set of that now, can't you? Simon Film Fan says, speaking of zombie films, The Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue is well done. I agree. I've got the Blu-ray of that. Love that movie. Gory in parts, but with a good story and atmosphere. Yeah, I love that one, Simon. The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. It's a great one. Yeah, great little movie. Love that one. Slag Hoffman, Best Christmas Carol version featured Alistair Sim and Michael Horden. Fantastic. Yeah, definitely. Steve, recently watched This Is Your Life with Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing and Oliver Reed. But what more can you ask for? Yeah, and I sometimes watch the old This Is Your Life TV shows, on YouTube, watch Boris Karloff's a few times. Christopher Lee's James Herbert's, I've watched that a few times, yeah, when Eamon Andrews hosted it. Yeah, fantastic, yeah, Have Cheetah Will View to Ellis Main, where the thing is talked about all the time. Just type in the thing in the search bar and you'll be swamped by the videos, yeah. Jeff Joffe, I watched that 2023 Evil Dead Rise film and I didn't like it. In fact, I gave up after 50 minutes. So that doesn't sound too promising, Jeff. Yeah, funny, I haven't really been over the moon about seeing that. Sometimes I get these little intuitive feelings like it's not going to be much good, the movie, you know, just like a hunch you get, you know, you're not going to enjoy it. Yeah. So I'll most probably check it out if it could, you know, I'll most probably rent it. I don't think I'll buy it, but to judge from what you've said, you know, it doesn't sound too promising. My favourite Evil Dead is the first one, Bruce Campbell. Second one was all right. I thought they put a little bit comedy in that, you know, but the first one was the best. But that I didn't like the remake of it. There were a lot of people like that. I didn't like it at all. I fell asleep. Stand on, guys. The comments are going a bit weird here. Have cheese with you. You didn't like Sam. Steve, I watched Evil Dead in 1983 on video as a young chap, and boy, that was scary. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it got a reputation, didn't it, in the early 80s, the Evil Dead, for being like a bit of a kind of a taboo movie, if you will. Yeah. And everybody said, have you seen Evil Dead? Have you seen Evil Dead? You know. Yeah. I hate that third one when he goes back in time. Oh, that is a terrible movie, in my opinion. That was really boring, that. Of course, I don't like me period pieces, do I? As I said before, excuse me, guys. As I said before, I don't like me period pieces. So, no, I didn't like that third one at all. Wasn't too keen on the Evil Dead series either. I thought, again, he ruined it, putting comedy in and wisecracks in, you know, detracts from the horror. Simon says to Jeff Joffrey, I find most of these modern reboots soulless rubbish. Yeah, I do as well. You haven't got the horror actors now, have they? Let's face it, guys. You know, you haven't got the greats now. They've all gone. Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., Christopher Lee, Boris Karloff, Vincent Price. They've all gone, you know. Have cheese, I will view. Trick or Treat featured Sam. That's the one. That's the one that was meant. Trick or Treat, Sam. Yeah, the framing story. Yeah, that's right. That's the one I mean. Where I didn't like that last one. The Father Christmas one in the house. Yeah, I didn't like that last one. Am I dead? Am I dead yet? Says Whoopi Cushion. I presume you're referring to Whoopi Goldberg there. Richard Brown, did you see the report about the super rats that are getting bigger and bigger? I've seen a couple of reports about super rats getting bigger and bigger over the years. You know, yeah, it's getting to be a bit of a problem, isn't it? A widespread problem. I can tell while we're on the subject of rodents, guys. Have you seen any of you guys seen Willard and Ben? They're great rodent movies, them. Although Ben's a bit more milder. Well, it's really mild actually compared to Willard. You know, Willard's an out-and-out horror, you know, starring Bruce Davidson. But the sequel, Ben, it's more of a kind of a Disney movie, you know. I love the song though, Michael Jackson, Ben. But I've got the two of them on Blu-ray. I read the novel as well. It's by excuse me, Stephen Gilbert, Ratman's Notebooks, and I enjoyed the novel as well. That's the novel that sparked the movie Willard. I like I watched the remake as well with Crispin Glover, but it was okay. But I did prefer the 71 one with Bruce Davidson. Thought that was a great rat movie. That Simon Film fan, The Omen or The Exorcist. I like The Omen. The Lizard Monkey. Sorry, the Whoopi Cushion joke. We've just had the birthday fortnight, May 23rd to May 27th. That had the birthdays of the late great Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and Vincent Price. It's funny that, wasn't it? They were all born near around about the same time. Yeah, it's very weird that. Jeff Joffrey, you could be right, Simon Film fan. Yeah. Simon Film fan is saying the woman getting cut in half was well done in Terrifier. It certainly was. A modern horror that was pretty decent for once, yeah. And the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2. Whew. Oh my days, talk about brutal, talk about drawn out. Oh God, yeah. That'll stay in a lot of horror fans' memory for years, that scene, yeah. Oh God, one of the most brutal, terrifying, sickening scenes I've ever seen in horror movie history. Didn't show any mercy, did he, on that poor girl? Slack Hoffman, Razor Blades, Corridor, Nigel Patrick. Yeah, that's it. Nigel Patrick, Tales from the Crypt, the Razor Blades and the Corridor. Yeah, Tales from the Crypt, the best stuff. I love that one. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Yeah, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, Patrick McGee. Yeah, he says, "Oh, you give us a slop." Oh, he had a fantastic voice in. Yeah, he really did. Yeah, Patrick McGee. Jeff Joffe, the Feed Me vampire story always gives me the chills. David Warner, yeah. The apparition appeared in the mirror saying, feed me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's creepy, that. And as I say, the opening part where From Beyond the Grave, where it sort of like it goes around like the camera pans around the graveyard, doesn't it? And it's got this like weird monks chanting. Oh, it's creepy, that. Really creepy. Then it opens up on the little street, doesn't it? The side street with Peter Cushing. It's a shop called Temptations. I'm sure the shop's called Temptations, where Peter Cushing's the proprietor with the Yorkshire voice. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love From Beyond the Grave. It's one of my all-time favourites. Horror portmanteaus. Steve, 2 best box sets ever for me: Hammer House of Horror and Brian Clements' Thriller. Definitely. And in regards to Brian Clements' Thriller, I just hope they do a Blu-ray release of that with loads of special features, because I love that series. That's my favourite series, that of the early 70s Thriller. I've got the DVD set of that, and some of the highlights of that are the Haunted Car with Donna Mills, the one with Robert Powell in Sister Mary, where he's obsessed with the TV nun. Oh yeah, there's loads of good stories in that. You know, the one where Green Sleeves with John Carson, and he starts snapping his fingers and whistling the song Green Sleeves. That's good. That's a good one. That. Yeah, I love that Haunted Car segment with Donna Mills. Love that one. One Deadly Owner, it's called. Yeah. Oh, I love Thriller. Fantastic. Very twisty stories and that. Good twists in them. Paul Conway. Hi, Alan. You okay, Paul? Thanks for dropping by, mate. We're shocked to hear about Network. I've been buying their releases for years. Yeah. They did loads of obscure British DVDs of great B movies. Yeah, definitely. Especially starring Barbara Shelley and Hazel Court. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? You know, it really is. Yeah. Slack Hoffman, one of my favourites was from Beyond the Grave. Yeah, Peter Cushing and Temptations. That's the name of the shop, Temptations Limited. Yeah, where they had all the curios and that. Yeah. I love From Beyond the Grave. I never get tired of watching that movie. Those old horror movies, guys, they had that certain magic, didn't they? That quality, which, in my opinion, has never really been replicated in a lot of these modern so-called horror movies of today. You might get the odd good one that stood out, but very, very rare. You know, I mean, they were all classics, those 70s, 60s and 70s horror movies, or Amicus, you know, or they were just pure magic. They really were. I grew up with all of them. All right, then, guys, I'm going to call it a night now. So thanks very much for turning up. I've really enjoyed it tonight. And, you know, some good subjects there, you know, you brought up in that about horror and that, especially the Amicus and that, you know, the Amicus discussion. Yeah. So, so thanks very much. I've enjoyed it and that. So I'm just going to make myself some supper now and chill out and that on the sofa. So, so I say, enjoy your weekend and that. And if you're going to be going shopping, you know, Blu-ray hunt or DVD hunt, I hope you manage to find some good, you know, purchases, you know, bargains and that. And all going well, I shall be back again, same time, same place, next Thursday for another Let's Talk Horror live stream. Oh, before I go, I've just got one thing to say to you all. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I put a thing up on my channel saying, does anybody want to come on as a guest? Well, what I'm going to do now, all those people who've expressed an interest, I'm going to start sending dates out to them, you know, ask them if it's convenient so you can come on. Like, so I'm going to be starting that very, very soon, maybe next week. So I'll be contacting all those people who've expressed an interest to come on my channel. I'll send you a couple of dates and you can let me know then if you can come on, and I'd be very happy to have you as a guest in that, you know. So I'm looking forward to it, because it's a while since I've had guests on. Yeah, so expect that. All those of you who've you know are interested in coming on my channel, I'll get the emails off to you, and you can let me know then if you can. If you can't make it one date, maybe you could make it the next week or whatever. Yeah. All right, then, guys, I'll wind it up now. Yeah, I've enjoyed it tonight, and I'll be back again next Thursday with another Let's Talk Horror live stream. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Thanks for stopping by.